The air was thick with tension as Kirk Frost sat in his opulent living room, surrounded by sleek furnishings and colorful family portraits that captured happier times. His heart was beating as he processed the terrible news. A few days prior, they had laughed over breakfast, their son's laughter resonating in the background. How had things spiraled so quickly? Memories of their turbulent relationship filled his mind. They had been through the ringer, weathering storms that would have torn most couples apart, but this felt different, like betrayal. Jasmine had filed for child support, and the amount was an astounding $7 million. With a churning sense of fury and disappointment, Kirk ran a hand through his hair. He shook his head, whispering to himself, $7 million. What is this really about? It's not just a number, it's a declaration of war. The weight of the situation felt like a smothering blanket, and he couldn't help but feel cornered. He thought back on their history together, their passionate beginnings, their heated arguments, the times that seemed like magic, and how they had loved and fought hard but lost their way somewhere along the way. Now that they were on the verge of a legal battle, he felt the heat of anger and heartbreak coursing through him. Is this how it has always been? He wondered, his mind racing. Did Jasmine ever really believe in us? Their last conversation reverberated in his mind. A contentious conversation that concluded with accusations and tears. Their unresolved conflict appeared to have settled into a heavy burden in the air. Concrete compelled, he took up the phone and contacted his attorney, frantic for answers, saying, "I need to know my options." Kirk felt a mixture of dread and determination as he hung up, telling himself, this isn't just about money. This is about my son's future. The stakes were higher than ever, and he couldn't afford to let emotions get in the way. He said this with a steady voice. Despite the chaos inside, this can't be happening. The conversation was a blur of legal jargon and potential outcomes, but one thing became clear. He needed to protect himself and his son. Clouded his judgment. Later that evening, he went to a local bar with friends. As the music pulsed and laughter erupted, he attempted to get rid of the dark cloud that was hanging over him. But as soon as he sat down, eventually, on the topic of Jasmine, man, did you hear about child support? One friend mockingly raised a beer in tribute. Kirk's pulse beat with a mixture of humiliation and rage, saying, "This isn't a joke, man. This is serious." The laughter subsided and was replaced by worried looks. He leaned back in his chair and said, "I never thought it would come to this. We've had our issues, but $7 million feels like a betrayal." His buddies pay close attention, their faces changing from amusement to sympathy as they comprehend the complexities of his relationship with Jasmine. A passionate love that occasionally turned toxic. "What should you do now?" Kirk's forehead creased in fear. He answered, "I'm going to fight," a fire blazing within him. "We love our son so much that I can't let her take everything away from me. This kills us." Even he was astonished by the conviction in his voice. As the night went on, surrounded by people who supported him, he felt as though the weight of the world lifted momentarily, and he started to see a road ahead. This was about dignity and parental rights, not just money. "I'll get legal counsel and make sure everything is fair," he declared, his resolve growing. The conversation turned to lighter subjects, but Kirk's mind remained sharply focused on the battle ahead. He knew the road would be difficult and full of emotional turmoil, but he was ready to fight for his family. As he left the bar, a sense of empowerment washed over him at home. He looked at the pictures of Jasmine. The conversation continued. In the glamorous yet turbulent world of reality television, few couples have captured the audience's attention quite like Kirk Frost and Rashida Bucker Frost. Their journey in love and hip-hop has been filled with drama, love, betrayal, and ambition, but recent events have sent shockwaves through their fan base, turning their once enviable relationship into a headline-grabbing scandal. It was a night like any other at the Frost residence, or, as it seemed, Kirk and Rashida Bucker Frost. Kirk's and Rashida Frost's son had a smile that broke through the clouds of uncertainty. As the evening wore on, the atmosphere became more charged. What began as a disagreement over routine household matters quickly escalated into a heated argument, with voices raised and hurtful words exchanged. It was a scene that would have made for compelling television, but sadly, this was real life. Next came the call that no one could have predicted. Neighbors concerned about the commotion dialed 911, reporting a suspicious person. Rashida had just returned home after a long day of business meetings and promotional appearances. The couple, known for their entrepreneurial spirit, had been juggling their careers with family life, all while trying to maintain their marriage. Domestic unrest, there was tension in the air when the cops got to the Frost residence. After speaking with both parties and assessing the situation swiftly, the cops decided to arrest Kirk because Rashida was extremely shaken and had red, swollen eyes from crying. After the news broke almost immediately, followers of the pair who had seen them through their highs and lows were left to deal with the fact that their favorite duo was now involved in such a serious tragedy. Social media was ablaze with shock, disbelief, and concern. Rashida stoked the flames with an impassioned Instagram post. "I never imagined having to deal with this. I should be respected and kept protected." A picture of her that showed both strength and vulnerability was included with the description, serving as a tribute to her fortitude as the tale developed. It became apparent that this was the climax of underlying problems that had harmed their relationship for years, rather than just a flash of rage. In the days that followed the fallout, fans were divided. Some rallied around Rashida, urging her to prioritize her safety. Celebrity insiders conjectured about the toll that reality television fame can take on personal lives. The pressure to maintain a perfect image while dealing with personal demons can create a powder keg of emotions waiting for just the right spark. While some supporters of Kirk persisted in calling for empathy and understanding, "We've seen them through so much," a fan bemoaned the tension that was evident in Rashida's search for understanding, and Kirk was forced to face the legal ramifications of his actions and was scheduled to appear in court soon. As he prepared for his day in court, he expressed regret and confusion. Meanwhile, Healing sought counsel from close friends and family. She began to reflect on the years of her marriage, weighing the good against the bad. For every romantic getaway they had shared, there seemed to be a corresponding moment of betrayal or disappointment. The dichotomy of their lives played out in front of the camera, but the reality was far more complicated. He added in a statement, "I love Rashida, and I want to make things right, but the road to reconciliation was anything but clear." He never intended for it to get this far. Rashida was adamant about putting her health and the health of her kids first. Her close friends said she was considering her options. The idea of beginning a new life without Kirk was frightening and liberating for her, as she thought about what might happen if he didn't take responsibility for his actions. As the court hearing day drew near, speculation about what might happen, would Kirk stand by Rashida or would she decide to move on, grew. The drama was similar to the most suspenseful episodes of Love and Hip Hop, but the stakes were higher as fans watched to see what would happen. In the end, Kirk and Rashida's story serves as a sobering reminder that real lives are at risk behind the glitz and glamour of reality television. Their tale also serves as a warning about love loyalty and the complexity of interpersonal interactions. The future was still unclear, but one thing was certain. Kirk Frost was leaning against the sleek countertop of his posh studio, the weight of his revelation heavy on his shoulders. His expression wavered between bewilderment and simmering rage as he readied himself to reveal a startling revelation that had sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Rashida's former partner and ex-wife had allegedly stolen $9 million from their joint ventures. This wasn't just a rumor. This was a reality Kirk had been struggling with for far too long. "I trusted her, so seeing that she has been embezzling money from us feels betrayed on all fronts. The studio aspires to be a center for innovation and cooperation, and this feels like a betrayal on all fronts." Combat Zone with a mixture of nostalgia and regret, Kirk reminisced about their early days together. Together, they built an empire in the music industry, turning their aspirations into a successful brand that expanded into fashion and lifestyle. At least, that's what Kirk thought. However, as the company grew, so did the complications. Kirk shook his head as the memories came flooding back. "I thought it was just mismanagement or accounting errors at first. But as I dug deeper, I found records of transfers that didn't make any sense. It was like watching a house of cards collapse in front of my eyes." The situation worsened when he chose to engage a forensic accountant to look at the accounts when the report eventually arrived. It was a stomach hit since the evidence pointed straight to Rashida and included illicit withdrawals and secret transactions that created a worrisome picture of betrayal. Kirk's heart pounded as he awaited the conclusions, each day intensifying his sense of dread.